Today, I am ranking every single primary weapon in Call of Duty Mobile for Season 1 2026. We are going through over 100 guns, from the absolute garbage in F tier that will lose you rank, all the way to the broken meta kings in S tier that you need to be using right now. We've updated some rankings, tested the new buffs, and we're giving you the truth. Let's start with the most annoying class in the game, the shotguns. Since this category is small, we're using a condensed tier list here. First up is the Echo, and this is arguably the worst shotgun in the entire game right now. It's a full auto shotgun, but its fire interval is a painfully slow 290 milliseconds. To put that into perspective, that's almost twice as long between shots as the Odin. The mobility isn't completely awful, but it's certainly not fast enough to compensate for its other flaws. And its lethality isn't great either. While it can technically kill in one shot, the pellet spread pattern is so awful that it will almost never happen unless your barrel is literally touching the enemy's chest. Overall, there is nothing absolutely good about this gun. Straight to F tier. If you thought the Echo was a joke, well, let me introduce you to the Striker. Imagine having to reload every single bullet one at a time, not on a slow firing weapon, but on a full auto shotgun firing at 260 RPM. The time it takes you to reload just one bullet is literally the time it takes you to fire two, which makes this gun completely awful to use in a real match. Now, if you ignore the reload, its performance is okay between 0 and 7 meters, but that's the same range where basically all full auto shotguns are effective, so it doesn't stand out. If this gun reloaded normally, it might actually be somewhat good, but with this insane fundamental flaw, it just can't do anything useful. Straight to F tier. Next up is the Einhorn Revolving. Honestly, this shotgun is a mystery to me. It doesn't have good damage. It's not easy to handle for a full auto shotgun. It's not fast moving. It's just spammy in a completely not usable way. Simply put, it is unusable. Straight to F tier. The lone C tier of the shotgun category is the Jak-12. This is a decent option if your goal is simply holding down close quarter areas consistently. Compared to the HS-2126, it doesn't have great mobility, nor does it have that same explosive lethal potential. Instead, the Jak-12 relies purely on its lethal consistency, which is something the HS-2126 definitely lacks. Overall, the Jak-12 is basically just the non-garbage version of the Echo. It does the job reliably, but without any real strengths. For that, it lands in C tier. Starting up the B tier is the BY-15, one of the three main pump-action shotguns alongside the KRM and the HS-0405. Its biggest advantage is that it's the easiest of the three to use. This is thanks to a very fast fire rate for a pump at 81 RPM and a good pellet spread that works well for both hipfire and aiming down sights. But that ease of use comes at a cost. It's also the worst of the three in terms of raw power. It doesn't have the best lethality, possessing the shortest effective one-shot range and relatively low damage considering its pellet count. Overall, the BY-15 isn't a bad gun, but the reality is the KRM and especially the HS-0405 simply do the same job better. The BY-15 lands in B tier. Up next, we have the VLK Rogue, which is kind of a weird gun. Technically, it's a full auto shotgun, but I highly recommend you don't use it that way. Think of it more like a fast-firing single-shot weapon. Similar to the Man of War Thermite, the VLK relies on burning damage to secure kills. This means it takes roughly half a second after your shot hits for the kill to actually register. However, with that burn damage, you can effectively one-shot enemies out to 15 meters, which is great range. Now, one critical detail, you need to ADS as much as possible. The ADS bullet spread accuracy is 3 times better than the hipfire spread, a much bigger difference than on most shotguns. Accuracy is key here. Overall, it's a great weapon with impressive range, but its reliance on burning damage is its fatal flaw. Anyone using Dauntless will completely counter you. For that reason, the VLK Rogue sits in B tier. First up in the A tier is the Argus, and honestly, this gun probably belongs more in the marksman rifle category than with the shotguns. Why? Because this thing can effectively one-shot enemies from 0 out to roughly 40 meters. It achieves this with an incredibly fast 159 millisecond ADS time, making it the fastest aiming one-shot weapon capable of that range. The fire interval is 808 milliseconds, the overall mobility is great, And the magazine stats are excellent with 15 bullets and a quick 1-second reload. On paper, everything looks perfect. But now for the crucial flaws. First, this gun is completely unable to get a kill using hipfire. You must ADS, at least partially, for the pellets to group tightly enough. And second, the iron sight isn't perfect, which is a significant issue for a gun that requires precise aiming down sights at all times. Overall, the Argus is arguably the best in its unique niche, but almost nobody uses it, so it doesn't define the meta. For its incredible potential balanced by its demanding playstyle, it lands in A tier. Next up is, in my opinion, the funniest shotgun to use in the game, the HS2126. Now, it's not fun because it's technically incredible, but because it can wipe out 5 people within 5 seconds without a single real effort. And if you do force yourself to play it optimally, it's actually one of the best automatic shotguns available. It has the best mobility in its class. Its single shot lethality is quite bad, but the full burst lethality is incredibly powerful. Here's how you use it. Run gung-ho, pop stim shots whenever you take damage, slide aggressively onto everyone, and just fire without restraint. Embrace the chaos. For its unique blend of fun and surprisingly high potential, the HS2126 lands in A tier. Up next, we have the KRM-262. Despite technically not being the best one-shot shotgun, it's arguably one of the most popular and it remains incredibly efficient. Its mobility is great even if it's just a tad slower than the HS0405. Its lethality is also incredible, despite being a tad worse than the HS0405. But where the KRM gains an edge is its much faster fire rate, which can make it significantly easier to use, especially for newer shotgun players. And here's one detail everyone seems to forget. The KRM is the most accurate of the pump action shotguns when aiming down sights. So even though everyone hipfires with it, just tap that ADS button, even slightly, and you will dominate. It's a fantastic, slightly more forgiving alternative to the absolute best. The KRM-262 earns its A tier. Moving on to the S tier shotguns, first is the HS0405, the big guy of the shotgun category and currently the best shotgun in the game. Let's get the flaws out of the way first. Its fire rate is painfully slow, with a 1280 millisecond interval between shots. Additionally, the reload and post-shot animations obstruct a large part of your screen. But now for the insane pros that make those flaws irrelevant. This gun is the most consistent one-shot killer, period. Why? Because it fires 15 pellets per shot, compared to 12 for the KRM and BY-15. Since you only need 4 pellets to hit up to 13 meters, it's practically a guaranteed one-shot kill whether you hipfire or ADS. Mobility-wise, it also boasts the fastest sprint speed of all shotguns at 6.76 meters per second and maintains the standard crucial 135 millisecond sprint to fire time. Now, interestingly, it technically has the worst base pellet spread of the main 3 pump shotguns, but it compensates for that inaccuracy by simply firing more pellets. It has its clear drawbacks, but its sheer consistency and power make it the best. The HS0405 is S tier. Another one that joins the S tier is the R90, and this is simply the best non-one-shot shotgun in the game. It's able to 2-shot kill within 200 milliseconds all the way out to 19 meters, and it is deadly accurate when you aim down sights. Now, it is a little slow, with only 6.1 meters per second sprint speed, but trust me, this thing is a beast. It's basically a point-and-click adventure. See someone, aim, fire twice, and move on to the next target. You don't need fancy movement, just focus on your aim and obliterate everyone. It isn't the most comfortable gun to use in extreme close quarters, but beyond that range, you are basically unkillable in a straight gunfight unless you're facing another shotgun. This gun single-handedly forced half the SMG users in competitive play to switch to shotguns. It is simply incredible and an undeniable S tier. So that's the close range meta. But if you want that same one-shot potential from across the map, you need precision. It's time to separate the aim gods from the hard scopers. Here's the ranking for every sniper and marksman rifle. Just like the shotguns, we're going to be using a condensed tier list. Starting with the F tier, we have the M21 EBR. And let's be blunt, in multiplayer, this gun is a joke. It's a semi-auto sniper but it completely fails at both possible roles. Its fire rate is fast, but not fast enough to compete with spam-focused DMRs like the SKS, and its damage is too low to provide the consistent one-shot kills you'd get from something like the XPR. Honestly, the specific stats are irrelevant here. A gun like this needs to excel at either fast, consistent two-shot kills or high damage. The M21 EBR has neither. It has no place in the meta, straight to F tier. Next up, the NA45. Imagine a gun that's supposed to blow things up, but it doesn't actually deal enough explosive damage to do its job. That's basically the NA45. And as if that wasn't bad enough, you have to fire both shots to even trigger the explosion. Making matters worse, its fire rate was slowed down compared to when it was actually good 4 years ago. On top of that, the recoil kick was increased, making it incredibly tricky to land both shots in the same zone quickly. It's a fundamentally flawed gimmick weapon that has no place in the game. Straight to F tier. If you thought the M21 EBR was a joke, let me introduce you to the SVD. Simply put, this gun is worse than the M21 in every single aspect. It has worse damage, worse fire, worse mobility, and worse handling. The only theoretical upside is a larger magazine size by 5 bullets. But honestly, the difference between 15 bullets of F tier and 20 bullets of F- tier is basically 0. Yes, this was actually the best sniper in ranked at one point, but that's just a vague memory now. The SVD is firmly in F tier. The first gun for the C tier is the Arctic 50. They buffed the ADS speed significantly, both through the base ADS time and by removing the ADS penalty on the stopping power mag. This gives it a sub 350 millisecond ADS time. Yeah, a sub 350 millisecond sniper in this economy. I'm not changing its tier yet because I'm not sure it's going to be used much, but that buff hits hard. It stays in C tier for now. Next on the list is the Outlaw. This was the undisputed best aggressive sniper back in 2021, but nowadays, it lacks the consistent damage needed to compete. It's saddled with a Locus-like hitbox, meaning you only get a one-shot kill up to 40 meters if you avoid the stomach and legs. Which is a shame, because everything else about it is built for aggression. It has a nice 67 RPM fire rate, a really good 292 millisecond ADS time, and a blazing 182 millisecond sprint to fire delay. You even get a large 9-bullet magazine, and the flinch isn't bad at 3.5, especially compared to the Locus or DLQ. But ultimately, that lack of consistent one-shot potential is just too big a flaw to overcome. The Outlaw lands in C tier. Up next is the SPR-208. Just like its two brothers, the Kilo and the MK2, it has the DLQ-like hitbox, the small 5-round magazine, and bad flinch. But unfortunately, the SPR also gets the short end of the stick in every other category. It has the worst fire rate of the three at just 52 RPM, and its mobility stats are also the worst, with a 262 millisecond ADS time and a 210 millisecond sprint to fire delay. So, the kilobolt action is better than the MK2, which is better than the SPR. Being the slowest and least effective of the group, the SPR lands in C tier. Next is the M1 Garand. Now, this is supposed to be a two-shot kill DMR just like the Type 63 or SKS, but the problem is, it can't two-shot kill consistently, and that basically summarizes the entire issue. It has an incredibly fast potential fire rate at 500 RPM, or a 120 millisecond interval, but in reality, most players can't click fast enough to reach that speed, meaning you're usually relying on its 3-shot kill potential. An SKS or Type 63 can secure a 2-shot kill in about 200 milliseconds, while the Garand would need at least 240 milliseconds to get a 3-shot kill. On top of that, the flinch isn't even that good, which makes hitting those follow-up shots even harder. Unless you're literally using 2 fingers to tap the fire button as fast as humanly possible, this gun just isn't good enough. It's still more useful than the M21 or SVD, but that's a low bar. The M1 Garand lands in C tier. Next up, we have the B tiers, and we've got the fan favorite, the OG, the DLQ-33. Probably 80% of you learned how to snipe with this gun, so yes, we're all a little biased. But factually speaking, the DLQ is the definition of an average sniper. It is the literal benchmark. It has the standard DLQ-like hitbox, 1 shot above the waist, 51 RPM, a 384 millisecond ADS time, 228 sprint to fire, and 8 bullets. These are basically the minimum requirements for a sniper in its class. Where it fails, however, is the flinch. At 4.2, it's just way too high to be consistently usable in direct gunfights. But it is the absolute best in the game at one specific thing: wallbangs. So if you are purely a wall spamming lineup focused player in Search and Destroy, this is your best pick. Outside of that very specific situation though, it's just average. The DLQ lands squarely in B tier. Unsurprisingly, the Locus ends up right next to the DLQ on this list. But the real question is it better or worse than the benchmark? In many ways, they are identical. Their mobility is basically equal, their damage profiles are equal, their magazine stats are equal, and frustratingly, their steadiness is catastrophic for both due to high flinch. So where do they actually differ? There are 3 key points. First, the Locus has a slightly better fire rate, clocking in at 57 RPM compared to the DLQ's 51. Second, the DLQ has way better wall banging capabilities. And third, and this is the most crucial difference, the DLQ can equip a suppressor, while the Locus cannot. That suppressor makes the DLQ significantly better in almost every scenario, unless you're facing a team that has perfect communication 24/7. Because of that suppressor disadvantage, the Locus clearly falls slightly below the benchmark. It's still a B tier weapon, but it gets a B-. Next up is the Koshka, a gun that was specifically designed to be an aggressive sniper. It has impressive speed stats for its class: 51 RPM, a fast 354 millisecond ADS time, and a lightning quick 189 millisecond sprint to fire. But most importantly, it has the best blank scope accuracy in the entire sniper category, making it uniquely deadly in those close range panic shots. Now, it has some drawbacks. The wallbang capacity is only decent, even with the armor piercing mag, and that mag only offers 6 bullets. The flinch is also high at 3.3, which is above what we'd ideally want. Here's the key comparison. The Koshka basically beats the DLQ in every important aspect for aggressive play. That clearly makes it the better sniper. However, it's still not quite dominant enough in the overall meta to reach A tier. For being clearly better than the benchmark B tier, the Koshka earns a B+ tier. Next up is the ZRG 20mm, another great option for an all-body one-shot sniper. Unlike the incredibly slow HDR, the ZRG feels closer to a DLQ in terms of stats. It does have a slow fire rate at 46 RPM, but its mobility is more manageable with a 381 millisecond ADS time and a 208 millisecond sprint to fire delay. However, it comes with some serious drawbacks: a depressingly small magazine with only 4 bullets and a quite high flinch at 3.9. But here's the bottom line: it's basically a DLQ that can one-shot kill to the legs. That consistency boost alone gives it significant value. It lands in B tier. Next is the MK2 Carbine, which is the other side of the coin compared to the kilobolt action. With the MK2, you're trading speed for stability. It's a little bit slower with a 247 millisecond ADS time and a 204 millisecond sprint to fire. But in return, you get much better flinch at 2.6 compared to the Kilo's 3.6. Honestly, if it wasn't for its frustrating bullet-by-bullet reload, this gun would be really fun to use. But because of that slow reload, and because it generally falls short compared to the kilobolt action, the MK2 lands in B tier. Moving up to the A tier, we have the HDR, which currently reigns as the best all-body one-shot sniper. Now, it's not broken like the old Arctic 50 stopping power or the ZRG anti-vehicle magware. The HDR is what an all-body one-shot should be: slow, punishing if you miss, but incredibly stable. You get that guaranteed full-body one-shot kill at all ranges, but the cost is significant. The fire rate is only 42 RPM, the 408 millisecond ADS time is a pain, and the 252 millisecond sprint to fire is equally slow. Thankfully, you get 7 bullets per mag, and more importantly, a fantastic 1.56 flinch. That low flinch is what provides the stability. My advice for using this gun is simple: you must run amped with a secondary weapon, because missing a shot is far more punishing than with faster snipers. You need that quick swap ready. It's not meta-defining, but it is the best in its specific category by far. The HDR lands solidly in A tier. Next up is the Rytec AMR, which is the best heavy semi-auto sniper in the game and, frankly, the best sniper overall for respawn modes. Why? Because it has that crucial DLQ-like hitbox combined with a blistering 130 RPM fire rate. It's essentially a spam machine. Now, the mobility is slow, but the 412 millisecond ADS time is okay, considering you'll mostly be hardscoping and spamming anyway. The 6-round magazine gives you enough shots to work with, allowing for potential team wipes even if you miss. Its main drawback is the heavy 3.1 flinch, but aside from that, it's exactly what you want from a respawn sniper. For its dominance in that specific role, the Rytec AMR earns its A tier. One semi-auto sniper that is absolutely not a joke is the XPR-50. This gun successfully combines speed and power. It has a Locus-like one-shot hitbox out to 31 meters, paired with a fast 160 RPM fire rate. You also get incredibly aggressive mobility, with a 292 millisecond ADS time, and the lightning-fast 153 millisecond sprint-to-fire delay. It basically beats the Outlaw at its own game, and as a DMR, it has that infinite 2-shot kill potential just like the M21 or SVD, but unlike them, the XPR can actually defend itself in close range without looking stupid. Handling-wise, this gun is a masterpiece. It has no recoil and a decent 2.8 flinch. The magazine size is a little short at only 8 bullets, but it's fairly usable. Now, it's not quite as dominant as an SKS or Type 63 if you're purely playing the DMR role in ranked, but as a versatile aggressive sniper, it's definitely top tier. The XPR-50 goes to A tier. We move on with the Kilo Bolt Action, which is simply the best marksman in the game currently. It carries that essential DLQ-like hitbox and a decent 65 RPM fire rate. But what sets it apart is its astonishing mobility. We're talking a 230 millisecond ADS time and 182 millisecond sprint to fire. That is incredibly fast. Now, just like all marksman rifles, it suffers from a small 5-bullet magazine and bad flinch. But where it truly needs to make the difference, in speed and aggression, it absolutely does. For dominating its specific niche, the Kilo Bolt Action lands in A tier. The SKS received a buff, but it isn't a major one. The only difference is that now, a shot above the waist is all you need for a 2-shot kill. That doesn't make it go up a tier, because the issue with the SKS was never its lethal capacity. But for SKS diehards, it's a nice change. Next is the SO14. This is an A-tier marksman rifle that sits right beside the SKS and the Type 63. It offers that consistent 2-shot kill capability all the way out to 45 meters. In terms of handling, it feels very similar to the SKS, but it has one massive advantage. The 2-shot kill up to 21 meters is 100% consistent. This makes it deadly in close range combat, which is usually the SKS's main weakness. So while I wouldn't put it above the Type 63, it clearly beats the SKS even after the buffs. View it as an SKS with a strength potion. First up is the 3-line rifle, and this gun is a bit of a headache. On one hand, statistically, it is the best sniper without a doubt. It has the DLQ-like one-shot hitbox, a decent 51 RPM fire rate, a fast 319 millisecond ADS time, and a 264 millisecond sprint to fire. The magazine is a little short at 5 bullets, but most importantly, it has an incredibly low 1.8 flinch. Basically, top tier stats across the board. But on the other hand, the actual usability is a different story. The bullet drift is awful, and so is the ADS animation. Honestly, that makes this sniper the biggest if on this entire list. To be totally clear, it is the best sniper in the game currently based purely on stats. But at the same time, I personally can't use it effectively and find myself performing better with almost any other half-decent sniper. Next up is the LW3 Tundra. This gun was the undisputed king since early 2024, completely dominating the meta until the 3-line rifle arrived. It offers that essential DLQ-like hitbox combined with a faster 60 RPM fire rate. The 375 millisecond ADS time is alright, but it does have a nasty 312 millisecond sprint to fire delay. Since a nerf a while ago, it only has 5 bullets per magazine. Its wallbang capacity is decent, and the flinch isn't too bad at 2.4 when paired with toughness. But here's the crucial point. Unlike the 3-line rifle, the handling on the Tundra feels good. It's smooth, reliable, and predictable. So for all those reasons, I am maintaining the Tundra in the S tier for now. Once players get truly comfortable with the 3-line's quirks, the Tundra will likely drop to A tier. And finally, taking the top spot for DMRs is the Type 63. While the SKS is the definition of a DMR, the Type 63 is the upgrade. It does everything the SKS does well. The 2-shot potential, the handling, the efficiency, it does just as well. But there's one crucial area where the SKS struggles and the Type 63 excels: closer range fights. We mentioned the SKS is slow. Its 350 millisecond ADS time means you lose almost any fight under 25 meters if you're not already aimed in. The Type 63, however, has a much faster 256 millisecond ADS time. That speed gives you a fighting chance in those closer engagements. And that single advantage, that ability to compete at ranges where the SKS is simply too slow, is exactly what separates the A tier SKS from the S tier Type 63. Snipers and marksman rifles are great if you have perfect aim, but sometimes you just want to hold down the trigger and delete an entire squad without reloading. That is exactly what light machine guns are for. Important note, we are back to the full tier list for this one, but a certain LMG made it out of the F tier, so we're starting with D tier. First up is the Chopper. This one is a bit weird for me, because on one hand, I really like using it, but on the other, the stats are just not there. Its damage is weak, only 23 meters for a 4-shot kill, and while the 5-shot kill extends to 54 meters, it's just not enough. The mobility is a bit slow, the movement speeds are average, but the ADS time is way too slow at 490 milliseconds. Even the magazine isn't great, with 100 bullets offset by a long 3.4 second reload. Now, its handling is really good, and its accuracy is terrible unless you're hip firing, where it's incredibly accurate for a full auto weapon. But as much as I like the feel of this gun, it just ain't that good. The Chopper lands in D tier. Next on the list is the Dingo, which is a very weird gun. When you look at its stats, it should be a monster. The damage is good, but a 35-meter 4-shot kill at a 232 millisecond time to kill. The mobility is the best in the entire LMG category, with a 303 millisecond ADS time, 6.1 meters per second sprint speed, and 3.15 meters per second strafe speed. The magazine is okay, with 80 bullets and a 1.8 second reload, and the handling is great, with one of the cleanest iron sights in the game. So why is this gun not S tier? Because its accuracy is awful. It has less bullet spread accuracy than the USS 9, for example. All those amazing stats mean nothing if your shots don't hit the target. That one flaw makes it unusable, which puts the Dingo in D tier. First of the C tiers is the Hades. At one point, this gun was one buff away from being a top tier monster. Now, it's completely fallen off and just doesn't work. On paper, the stats look decent. You get a 38-meter 4-shot kill and an infinite 5-shot kill, but the gun just misses out everywhere else. Its mobility is average. The magazine is on the short side with only 65 bullets and a 2.48 second reload. The handling isn't great because of that big iron sight, and its accuracy isn't OP either. It's a gun that simply fails to shine in any single category. It's C tier, mainly because it's closer to being usable than the D tier guns we just covered. Next up is the Holger 26. This gun is a massive mix of good and terrible in the same weapon. Let's just go down the list. Its 4-shot kill range is short as hell at only 24 meters, but its 5-shot kill range extends out to 50 meters. It has a painfully slow half-a-second ADS time, but it has an incredibly fast 3.3 meters per second strafe speed. It has a great magazine, with 110 bullets and a quick sub-2 second reload, but it has one of the worst bullet spreads in the entire LMG category. And on top of all that, the general handling is goated. This gun is a complete headache. It's the definition of an average, confusing weapon, and it lands right in C tier. Let's talk about the UL-736. This gun was one of the most dominant and long-range weapons in competitive play back in 2023. On paper, the stats still seem to work. It's incredibly accurate and stable. Its mobility is slow, but that's fine for a long-range anchor. The magazine is a little short, with 60 bullets and a 1.8 second reload time, but it's manageable. But here is the part everyone forgets, and it's the gun's fatal flaw. A long-range weapon has to kill fast. The UL-736's stats are a trap. It claims to have a potential 3-shot kill out to 41 meters, but this is wildly inconsistent as it requires you to land 3 out of 3 shots on the chest or arms. So for us, and not for pro players, the UL is really just a 58 meter 4-shot kill gun, which gives it a 273 millisecond time to kill. That's decent, but as we've already established, the AK-24 does the exact same job, only better. It's not a truly awful pick, but it just can't shine in today's meta with so little real 3-tap potential. The UL-736 lands in C tier. Up next, we have the M4 LMG. They transformed this lazy 28 meter 4-shot kill LMG into an infinite 4-shot kill LMG. That range buff definitely takes it out of the garbage disposal. Aside from that, it is still mid, but the damage output is now outstanding. It moves up to C tier. Moving on to B tier, let's start with the Bruen MK9. This is easily one of the most underrated LMGs in the game, at least in my opinion. That's because you shouldn't think of this as a true LMG, but more as a heavy assault rifle. When you look at its damage, it has a 30 meter consistent 4-shot kill and a 55 meter potential 4-shot kill, both at 240 milliseconds. This gun can really wipe the floor with meta ARs like the XM4 and Type 19 at mid to long range. Now, its mobility is just average for an LMG, and the magazine is on the shorter side at 60 bullets with a 1.6 second reload. As for accuracy, I'm going to say this once for the whole video. All LMGs are accurate unless I specifically say they're not, as this only affects 4 weapons. So yes, the Bruen is a laser. On top of that, it has a massive 1.4 bullet impact, which throws your enemy's aim off easily. Because it's a fantastic heavy AR but not quite a meta-defining LMG, the Bruen lands solidly in B tier. Next on the list is the RPD, and on paper, its stats are pretty standard. You get a 35 meter 4-shot kill and a 77 meter 5-shot kill. That's good, but nothing crazy. Its mobility is a bit slow. It's not as slow as a PKM, but it's barely 10% faster. And handling, of course, is incredible. So it seems like a standard average LMG. But the RPD has one thing that makes it OP, the fact that you never have to reload. Now, you can't spam bullets forever without overheating, but you technically never have to sit through a reload animation. That single mechanic makes this gun incredible to use, especially in long drawn-out fights. For that unique and powerful trait, the RPD lands in B tier. Next is the S36, and as a quick side note, this gun is incredibly fun in BR. Not necessarily the best, but fun. In multiplayer, the S36 carries an incredible range with a 54 meter 4-shot kill at a 240 millisecond time to kill. Its mobility is average for an LMG. The magazine is great with 110 bullets and a fast 2-second reload time. But its best feature is the handling. It's top notch, and the whole gun just feels like an LK-24, an easy to use, long range laser beam. It doesn't necessarily outshine any of the top meta weapons, which is what keeps it from a higher tier. But it's still a great off-meta LMG pick. The S36 lands in B tier. Starting off the A tier is the MG82, the other fast-firing LMG on the list. Unfortunately for the MG82, it's basically just a lazy copy of the MG42. Its damage profile is a step down with a 28 meter 5-shot kill and a 40 meter 6-shot kill. The mobility is overall the same as the MG42. Its strafe speed is slightly faster, but its ADS time is slightly slower. The magazine stats are also similar, with 125 bullets and a reload time around 4 seconds. But the biggest difference is the accuracy. While the MG42 is a laser, the MG82 is just a little less accurate. The handling isn't perfect either. Overall, it's a great gun, but it's just completely overshadowed by the MG42. For being a slightly worse version of an S tier weapon, the MG82 lands in A tier. Next, we have the RAAL MG, which is essentially the little brother of the PKM. To make it short, it's almost the same gun, except for a few key details. Here's the trade-off. Instead of a 32 meter 3-tap, The RAAL has a 45 meter 3-tap range. The cost for that extra range is a slightly slower time to kill at 210 milliseconds instead of the PKM's 190. The other difference is the magazine. You get 100 bullets instead of 200. For being a bit slower on the time to kill and having a smaller magazine compared to its S-tier sibling, the RAAL MG lands in A tier. Moving on to S tier, we have the MG42, and in my opinion, this is the best LMG for rank play right now. It starts off with a strong base, a 16 meter 4-shot kill, and a 38 meter 5-shot kill. But what truly sets it apart from almost every other LMG is its incredibly fast fire rate, which makes the gun feel unbelievably consistent. Pair that consistency with above average mobility and incredible handling and accuracy, and you've got yourself the best gun imaginable. Thankfully, the devs decided to strike it down just a little by giving it a massive reload time of around 5 seconds. But even with that huge drawback, it's still the best LMG for ranked. The MG42 is S tier. Next up, we have the PKM. Now, this isn't necessarily the best LMG for a solo ranked grind, but it is the most efficient LMG you can possibly use in a 5-man team context. When used in a precise strategy, this gun is deadly. Let's just get this out of the way right now. The mobility is terrible, but that's the trade-off. Aside from that, its stats are absurd. You get a 32 meter 3-tap, which is a fast 190 millisecond time to kill. You get 200 bullets in the magazine. And the handling is really good. That might not seem like much to worry about, but let's be clear. A 200 round magazine where every single bullet can delete 1/3 of your health is, quite frankly, crazy. For its massive and undeniable impact on the competitive scene, the PKM is S tier. We've covered the heavyweights, now let's speed it up. If you want to break ankles, rush objectives, and win every face-to-face gunfight, this is the only list that matters. It's time to rank the submachine guns. We're starting off at D tier and we have the Pharo. And even though it received a buff in Season 9 of 2025, it doesn't gain a single tier. Here's why. It still has one of the worst handling profiles, if not the worst, in the entire game. It suffers from a random recoil pattern, which is already tricky, but on a burst weapon, it's a nightmare. Beyond that, the mobility is nothing crazy, and the magazine isn't that big. Its only great quality remains the fact that it can kill with fewer shots than the amount in its burst up close, giving it some forgiveness. But outside of that very specific close range niche, there is still nothing great about this gun. The Pharo remains firmly in D tier. Next is the PPSH 41. This is a gun that isn't broken, but it's still notable. Its stats are fine, it has solid damage potential, decent mobility, and an insane magazine with 65 bullets and a 1.2 second reload. But the handling is what drags it all down. The recoil is wild, inconsistent, and frustrating to manage, and that's even with a nice iron sight. It's a weapon with a solid base that's completely let down by its handling. It needs a buff badly. The PPSH 41 is in D tier. Next up is the Striker 45. On paper, the damage is good. You get a 20 meter 3-tap and a 32 meter 4-tap. But it's basically unplayable due to its recoil. It's irregular vertically and horizontally, and it kicks with an inconsistent speed. The movement speed is fine, but really, who cares if you can't hit your shots? And for that reason, the Striker 45 is in D tier. We're moving on to the C tier, so let's talk about the OG trashcan SMG. It's the Chicom. Simply put, I'd say it's no longer the disaster it used to be. It doesn't feel sluggish, the 51 round mag is more than enough, and being a burst gun means the recoil is practically non-existent. On top of that, the iron sight is clear and stable, which makes it smoother to use. Where it always used to fall flat was damage over range, but even that's been fixed with the most recent buff. You can now secure a clean 1 burst up to 24 meters, and after that, it still holds a solid 4-shot kill up to 30 meters, which is honestly way better than before. This gun has finally been fixed. It's a solid C tier. Back to another OG, the HG40. This gun had its time in the spotlight around 2020. Nowadays, it's pretty washed. Basically a worse Bizon. The mobility is weak for a flex SMG at only 6.2 meters per second sprint speed and 3.4 meters per second strafe speed. Sure, you get a 35 meter 4-shot kill, That only results in a 270 millisecond time to kill, which isn't good enough to compete. The handling is fine, but it's not on the Bizon's level. And that's really the whole story. The Bizon does everything better. That's why the HG40 is in C tier. Then we've got the QXR, a gun that was once amazing, but is now just mid. Its mobility is fine. 6.5 meters per second sprint, 3.8 meters per second strafe, and a 206 millisecond ADS time. The problem is the damage. Now, on paper, it doesn't sound too bad. Up to 12 meters, it's a 4-shot kill for a 180 millisecond time to kill. Then out to 32 meters, it's a 5-shot kill for a 240 millisecond time to kill. But that's before you factor in the awful leg multiplier. Just one leg shot can turn a 4-shot kill into a 5-shot, or a 5-shot kill into a 6-shot. This makes it far too inconsistent to be competitive. The QXR is in C tier. After that comes the LAPA, which is one of the biggest niche picks in the game. It has a 20-meter 4-shot kill for a 240 millisecond time to kill, and it has insane mobility with a 4.8 meters per second strafe speed. But it's held back by an awful iron sight and, more importantly, super slow bullet velocity. That slow bullet velocity makes it feel like you're lagging at longer ranges. It's a fun gun, but it's deeply flawed. The LAPA is in C tier. Now for the ISO. This gun is not great, but it's not awful either. Its first range is a 12-meter 4-shot kill for a 204 millisecond time to kill, but after that, the damage falls off hard. It's got great mobility, an honest recoil pattern, and decent mag stats. The problem is, it just doesn't hold up against other top-tier close-range SMGs like the Switchblade, the MX9, the OTS9, or the VMP. It's a gun that needs a serious buff to compete. The ISO is in C tier. Moving on to B tier, first on the line we have the RUS-79U, which got a buff in Season 8. The damage in its second range was increased from 24 to 25. Now, that might seem useless, but that single point of damage allows it to get a 234 millisecond time to kill out to 25 meters. Mobility-wise, as we've mentioned in previous videos, this gun is absolute madness. We're talking a 177 millisecond ADS time, 6.71 meters per second sprint speed, and 4.47 meters per second strafe speed. You combine that with a nice 50-round mag for its 770 RPM fire rate, basically no recoil, and a clean iron sight, which makes the handling quite easy. It's one of the simplest aggro SMGs to use in the game. That buff gives it a necessary push. Without a doubt, the RUS is now a solid B tier. Next up is the Razorback, and this is a weapon that I believe is highly underrated now. It offers a 3-shot kill in its first range up to 9 meters, and then holds a solid 4-shot kill across the next 2 ranges, all the way out to 40 meters. Its mobility is on par with what you get from the PDW, meaning you are quick. So quick it's actually hard for enemies to track you while you're strafing. The magazine is good, with 42 bullets for its 700 RPM, which is decent. Now, yes, the iron sight isn't perfect, and neither is the aim shake or the recoil. But despite those flaws, this gun is definitely getting slept on. With its solid damage and great mobility, the Razorback earns a B tier spot. Next, we have the MSMC, the OG close-range SMG. This is the gun that basically defined the CQB SMG era back in the day. Let's talk handling. It's awful like most close-range bullet hoses. It has a high fire rate paired with weak per-shot damage, but the end result is still a solid time to kill. The difference here, and the reason it's still viable, is the mobility. With a 6.8 meters per second sprint speed and a 4.4 meters per second strafe speed, it's on the faster side compared to other CQB SMGs. It has a standard 40-round mag and a reload of about 1.2 seconds. It's nearly competitive in every situation, but it does struggle a bit in that 10 to 20 meter range. Solid overall, the MSMC is a B tier weapon. Moving on to the GKS. Once upon a time, this thing was meta, even a comp legend. Plus, it's got one of the most iconic skins in the game, the Unicorn. But how does it hold up now? Damage-wise, it's still good, giving you a 200 millisecond time to kill out to 25 meters. Its mobility is fine for a flex SMG, with a 3.9 meters per second strafe speed, and the mag is nice at 40 rounds with a quick reload. Where it falls apart is the handling. The recoil is unpredictable and shifts sideways at odd speeds. It's still a strong gun, but the problem is the USS-9 does the same job more consistently and with less effort. For that reason, the GKS is B tier. Next up is another PDW successor, the Cordite. When it first dropped, it was famous for its busted hipfire. Now, it's mostly forgotten. The damage is messy. You get a 13-meter 4-shot kill, and while you can maintain decent time skills out to 36 meters, it usually falls short compared to other flex SMGs. The mobility is fine, but the real selling point here is the magazine. You get a massive 80 bullets per mag with about a 1.4 second reload time, which is perfect for shredding entire squads without reloading. Still, it sits below the PDW or the Bizon. It's a good gun, but only a B tier. Next up, we've got the baby Fennec, the MK10. No change in tier here, but we have to mention that the hipfire capacity has been massively increased. First, thanks to a sprint to fire reduction, and second, thanks to an increased hipfire bullet spread accuracy. This makes it significantly better for its intended purpose, demolishing everything in close range. Moving on to the KSP-45, it received a little buff in Season 9 of 2025. Now, this doesn't make it anywhere close to meta-defining, but it does reaffirm its spot as the best burst SMG outside of the CX-9 burst. It carries a 90-meter 1-burst kill potential while having a blazing fast mobility. We're talking 6.7 meters per second sprint, 4.8 meters per second strafe, and a 200 millisecond ADS time. The handling is also insanely good. The only catch? You absolutely have to avoid hitting the legs. As long as you don't hit the legs, you're good. It's a powerful high-speed burst option with a specific weakness. The KSP-45 remains in B tier. Then we've got the OTS-9. This gun is almost identical to the Switchblade X9 in its stats, damage, and mobility. So, what's the catch? There are two key differences. First, its recoil isn't as smooth, and second, you're forced to run into a visible laser to get proper bullet spread accuracy. That visible laser alone is enough of a disadvantage to drop it a tier below its brother. The OTS-9 is in B tier. The Tech-9 is another burst SMG, and it even made a Rare World Champs appearance. It didn't impress, but it's worth noting. Think of it as the scrim legal version of the burst CX-9, which means it's a heavily nerfed one. Its 1-burst potential is only out to 7 meters, and it needs 2 bursts to kill at 18 meters. The mobility is good, but it lacks the sprint speed that matters most. It's not a bad gun, but it's completely outclassed by the burst CX-9. For that, the Tech-9 is in B tier. Next is the AGR-556, which just shot up to B tier with its newest buffs. Simply put, we now have 51 meters of consistent 4-shot kill. Yes, 51 meters. It is astonishingly strong. It beats every single Flex AR or Flex SMG, Peacekeeper included, USS-9 included. The only issue is still the handling. But I would try to learn that recoil if it means having the best flex gun in the game. Mark my words, if they buff the handling enough, this thing will be basically the best mid-range weapon in the game. We're now in the A-tier SMGs, and we've got the PDW-57. This isn't exactly top-rated worldwide, but in the EU, it's known as the iPad player's go-to SMG. And that's easy to explain. It has 0 recoil, a crystal clear iron sight, and no screen shake, so the only job left is for you to just aim. Damage-wise, it isn't groundbreaking, but it's solid enough, with a 240 millisecond time to kill out to 26 meters. What really makes it stand out is the mobility, especially with the 4.43 meters per second strafe speed. The way you run this gun is simple. Treat it like a laser pointer. Aim, shoot, and strafe. For that reason, it goes straight into A tier. Next up, one of my personal favorites, the QQ9. This one's often compared to the HVK30, and for good reason. Now, its magazine is small at 30 bullets. Just look at the average time to kill. It doesn't seem impressive, but the potential time to kill tells the real story. It has a 160 millisecond time to kill up to 16 meters, which is one of the top 3 fastest in the game. You combine that with mobility that's quick for its class. 6.6 meters per second sprint, 4.1 meters per second strafe, plus super fast handling with a 206 millisecond ADS and a 100 millisecond sprint to fire time. It's a gun that absolutely dominates skirmish gunfights where you aren't pre-aiming. It's an easy A tier. Next is the Fennec. Now, it did get some nice buffs in Season 9 of 2025, but sadly, they aren't sufficient to make it meta-defining again. They just make it more efficient overall. It's still strong, powered by that insane 1111 RPM fire rate, giving it a 216 millisecond time to kill in the first range and 217 millisecond in the second. The mobility is decent, especially the sprint speed. The ADS time also got buffed, and we now have 221 milliseconds of ADS time. It's better than it was, but its core weaknesses remain. The Fennec is still A tier. Now for the PP19 Bizon. Simply put, this is the best new friendly weapon in COD Mobile. It has zero recoil, smooth handling, and one of the largest magazines in the SMG category at 64 bullets. The mobility is also great, with a 4.4 meters per second strafe speed, 6.4 meters per second sprint speed, and a 235 millisecond ADS time. But the big selling point is its damage consistency. You have a 37 meter 5-shot kill as a baseline, with the potential for a 4-shot kill to the upper body, and even a 3-shot kill to the chest or arms inside 10 meters. Because of this incredible ease of use, the verdict is a special one. For everyone, the Bizon is a solid A tier. But for beginners, it's literally S tier. On to the MX9, a gun that once was the most dominant in COD Mobile history. These days, it's fallen off, but it's still strong. It has a 24 meter 4-shot kill, which is a 210 millisecond time to kill, plus some of the best mobility in the game, including approximately 5 meters per second of strafe speed and a 150 millisecond ADS time. Its weak point is the handling. It has a terrible iron sight, messy recoil, and tons of shake, making it hard to exploit consistently. Still, it's one of the best off-meta picks you can use. The MX9 is an A tier. Next up is the CBR4, and thanks to some good buffs, this gun is slowly getting back into the best SMGs discussion. Its damage is now much more respectable, with a 25 meter 4-shot kill offering a 225 millisecond time to kill, and a decent 300 millisecond time to kill out of 35 meters. The mobility is great, but that's not its biggest advantage. The thing that truly makes the CBR4 shine is its ease of use. It has no recoil, a clean iron sight with no shake, a large magazine, and a quick reload time. This combination makes the CBR4 particularly strong in the current meta. It's moving up a tier, landing solidly in A tier. Next is the fan favorite Switchblade X9. As a close-range SMG, this gun has no flaws. The damage is strong, with a 213 millisecond time to kill out to 23 meters. The mobility is great, with a 6.8 meters per second sprint, 4.5 meters per second strafe, a 228 millisecond ADS time, and 150 millisecond sprint to fire time. The handling is smooth, and the magazine is fine at 41 rounds with a 1.1 second reload. It's just a clean, all-around great SMG. However, in this category, being just good everywhere isn't enough for S tier. It's an easy A tier. Now, for the CX9, we'll start with the standard, fully automatic version. The easiest way to think of this gun is as a tweaked Fennec. You're trading slightly worse damage in exchange for better handling and slightly higher mobility. It's a more user-friendly take on that classic close quarters playstyle, and it's still very strong. The standard CX9 is in A tier. Up next, we have the Sten. First off, its damage profile is fully consistent, even hitting all leg shots. From 0 to 16 meters, it's a 4-shot kill. From 16 to 24 meters, it's a 5-shot kill, and beyond that, it's a 6-shot. Plus, if you hit a headshot within 8 meters, you can secure a 3-shot kill. Now, the time to kill depends heavily on whether you run a suppressor or not, as it changes the fire interval. With the suppressor, the fire interval is 68 milliseconds. This gives you a 136 millisecond 3-shot kill, a 204 millisecond 4-shot kill, and a 272 millisecond 5-shot kill, and a 340 millisecond 6-shot kill. If you go without a suppressor, The fire interval drops to 63 milliseconds. This results in a faster 126 millisecond 3-shot kill, 189 millisecond 4-shot kill, 252 millisecond 5-shot kill, and the 315 millisecond 6-shot kill. Mobility-wise, this thing is a missile. 168 millisecond ADS time, 6.6 meters per second sprint speed, and 4.95 meters per second strafe speed, making it one of the fastest SMGs. The main drawback is the magazine. 32 rounds with a 1.5 second reload isn't great for a gun firing at 950 RPM, but it's manageable. The handling makes up for it. The recoil kicks straight up and it is easy to control, similar to a Fennec or MK10, and the base iron sight is clean with minimal shake. Overall, the Sten is an incredible pick. It's fast, consistent, and could even be meta viable with the new competitive restrictions. It debuts strongly in A tier. Starting off with the S tier SMGs, we have the Burst CX9, and it's a whole different beast. The mobility is cracked with a 7 meters per second sprint speed and a 214 millisecond ADS time. The burst mechanics are insane. You have a 26.6 meter 1 burst potential with a 58 millisecond fire interval and a 138 millisecond burst interval. It's basically unbeatable in head-to-head fights. So, what's the downside? You only get 12 bullets per magazine, which is just 4 bursts, and you will run out of ammo fast. Still, if you can manage it, this is the best gun for search and destroy. It's a straight S tier. Over the last few months, the USS-9 received multiple nerfs that we haven't addressed until now. You have to note that the mobility is now a little under average for a flex SMG, so is the BSA, and so is the flinch. Yes, the lethality and range still make it absurdly strong, but we are starting to see a point where the USS-9 might not be viable anymore if they keep destroying its stats, which honestly wouldn't be an issue for me. And finally, we have the VMP, which is currently my personal favorite and the strongest CQB SMG in the game right now. The damage is excellent all the way out to 33 meters. You have 186 millisecond time to kill up to 13 meters, a 248 millisecond time to kill up to 21 meters, and a 310 millisecond time to kill up to 33 meters, with potential for even faster kills at each step. Its general mobility isn't the main highlight, with a 6.4 meters per second sprint and a 4.1 meters per second strafe. But its handling stats, a 182 millisecond ADS time, and a 135 millisecond sprint to fire time, are what make it perfect for run and gun. The overall handling is excellent. A clean iron sight, no shake, even better than the PDWs. The magazine is cracked too, with 52 rounds and a reload time under 1 second. In short, this is the best SMG in the game right now. The VMP goes straight to S tier. The SMGs are fast, but most of them lack range. To truly dominate the map, you need a weapon that can do it all. It is time for the main event, the biggest category in the game, the jack of all trades. Let's rank every single assault rifle in the current meta. For the F tier, let's look at the M4. To put it directly, the M4 is a mess. Here's the problem. It has the mobility and handling of a passive AR, but the range and BSA of a flex AR. In other words, it is slow and steady, but has basically grouse range. It's a gun built for long-range fights that can't actually win long-range fights. It has a complete identity crisis. There's no debate on this one. Straight to F tier. Kicking us off for the D tiers is the Type 25. Now, this gun isn't up to the good tiers, despite receiving multiple buffs for a few reasons. It has a good time to kill in close and medium ranges, but that's where the praise stops. First, it doesn't have the mobility nor the max stats to be efficient as an aggressive AR. Second, the handling is quite a mess thanks to its Z-shaped recoil pattern. And third, for the exact purpose that the Type 25 serves, there are simply better options in both the AR and SMG categories. It's outclassed on every front. For those reasons, it's in D tier. Next up is the ICR-1. The simplest way to put it, it's basically a worse version of the M16. It does have better handling, and that's it. From here, it's all downhill. Worse range, worse fire rate, and similar mobility, which, if you remember the M16, means awful. In the passive AR category, a gun can't be that far down without consequences. This is an easy one. Straight to D tier. Next up is the Vargo S, and this is one of the biggest mixes we've ever seen. Let's start with the stats. Stat-wise, this gun is incredible, no doubt. It has everything it needs to be a great aggressive AR. The mobility is a little short, but that's fine, but the handling is terrible. And I don't mean a little difficult. I mean the pre-buff Peacekeeper had better handling than this. So, even though the gun is technically okay on paper, it is so impossible to exploit that it's functionally useless. The Vargo S goes straight to D tier. Alright, for the C tiers, first up is the M16 with a wildfire perk. And this gun is quite the underdog. On paper, the stats are incredible. We have 54 meters of 4-shot kill, 100% consistent. And yes, that means all leg shots. Obviously, with those range stats, you get the bad mobility that comes with it. No surprise there. But we also get good handling. Just kidding! The reality is, the recoil is S-shaped and the aim shake is basically awful. This makes the M16 meaningless compared to other long-range options because you can't hit what you're aiming at. It's a statistical monster that can be impossible to tame. For that reason, it's C tier. Up next, we have the Man O' War. But this one suffers from a few key details. First, it has a slower fire rate. Second, it doesn't even have the best range out of all the 3 taps. And third, it has the worst mobility of all of them. So statistically, it's at the bottom of its class. But here's the thing, despite all that, it's still a pleasant gun to play. That good feeling is just enough to keep it out of the dumpster. The Man O' War lands in C tier. Next on the list is the HBRA3, and this gun is kind of a mixed bag. Here's the easiest way to describe it. Imagine the M4, but with better range and BSA. That's basically the HBRA3. It pulls its stats from all over the place. It has 44 meters of potential 4-shot kill, but its mobility is similar to the LK24, and its handling is that of a BK57. This combination of parts makes a gun that's simply average, and average has a very specific home on this list, C tier. Up next, the FR556. This gun is quite weird. On paper, the stats seem fine. You get an excellent 43 meters of 4-shot kill range, but it's balanced by the slow mobility of an LK24. The recoil is okay-ish, and the flinch is okay. You only get 30 bullets, which is not great, but it's manageable. So if the stats are mostly fine, what's the real problem? The issue isn't on the stat sheet. The real problem is that the aim shake and the iron sights suck. This makes the gun feel awful and inconsistent to use in a real match, no matter what the numbers say. It's a classic case of a gun with a bad feel, and that lands it squarely in C tier. Moving on, we have the CR56 AMAX, and this one is kind of weird too. It's a bundle of contradictions. It's a classic AR, but it has awful mobility. On the flip side, it's a classic AR that has a very strong 40 meters of 4-shot kill. And the handling, it's alright, but not that good. So what do you get when you put all these mismatched parts together? Simply said, it feels like a buffed M4. It's definitely better than the real M4, but that's a low bar to clear. It's a solid C tier. Alright, next up is the Maddox, and this one is quite tricky to rank. On one hand, on paper, it looks like a decent flex AR. On the other hand, in practice, it feels terrible. There are 2 reasons why. The iron sight is weird, and the recoil is a catastrophe because of how irregular it is. So when you take both the practical and the statistical aspects together, you get a gun that's stuck in the middle. The Maddox ends up in C tier. Next is the Grau 556. This gun is not particularly great. It's a thoroughly average flex AR. The range is okay at 28 meters for a 4-shot kill and 42 meters for a 5-shot kill. The mobility is also just okay. But here's the trick. The handling is so great that it'll make the gun feel like it's excellent. That feeling, however, hides the real problems. The BSA is bad for a flex AR, and when you end up against good players, that great handling can't compensate for the performance deficit. Overall, it is simply average. The Grau is a textbook C tier weapon. Next up is the LAG-53. This gun suffers from 2 problems. First, stat-wise, it is not the Odin. And second, it is Odin's direct competition. You could argue it's basically useless and throw it in F tier. But the thing is, it's not necessarily that bad. On its own, it has a good 2-shot kill potential out to 25 meters, provided you hit the stomach or chest. And it has an infinite 3-shot kill range, which is good. The real problem comes back to mobility. Compared to the Odin, it is particularly slow. And while we said that slow mobility was a perk on the Odin, on this gun, it's just too slow. It's a decent option in a world where a vastly superior option exists for the same job. That lands it in C tier. Moving on to B tier, we have the AK-117, one of the many typical flex ARs in the game. The stats are all there, around 750 RPM, roughly 30 meters of 4-shot kill range, and about 50 meters for a 5-shot kill. It's got decent mobility and a decent mag. So why isn't this an A or S tier weapon like most others in its class? Well, the recoil is random. And despite the free mythic skin that I'm guessing you all have, this random recoil just makes engagements painful past 25 to 30 meters. And below that range, it's obviously not the best option. It's a nearly great gun held back by its inconsistency. That's why it lands in B tier. Next up is the AK-47. This gun is basically the definition of a 3-tap assault rifle. It has all the traits you'd expect: slow mobility, decent recoil, a nice large mag, and around 30 meters of 3-tap range. There are no real surprises here. The AK-47 is simply our benchmark for 3-taps. It's the standard by which all the others are measured. For being the perfect, reliable baseline, it sits comfortably in B tier. Next to the AK-47, we have the ASM-10. I describe this as simply a different approach to the 3-tap solution. Here's the trade-off. The Branson barrel attachment gives it huge instant kill potential and better damage. But on the other hand, it has slightly worse range, worse BSA, and a worse overall feeling than the AK-47. In the end, the opinion is that it's even with the AK-47. It's just a different flavor of the same core idea. Since it's on the same level as our benchmark, the ASM-10 also lands in B tier. Next on the list is the BK-57, a member of the family of classic ARs. On paper, it has an impressive effective range of around 50 meters and can, theoretically, 4-shot all the way, but in practice, that potential 4-shot kill is quite unlikely. Its stats are stuck in the middle. The mobility is slightly under the flex AR standards. For context, that's a 6.1 meters per second sprint, 3.2 meters per second strafe, and 217 millisecond ADS time. The handling is also caught right between flex and passive AR standards. The recoil draws a parenthesis shape, which makes things a little inconsistent. So with all that, the final analysis is that it's overall decent. Not amazing, not terrible, that lands it solidly in B tier. Moving on to the AS-VAL. This gun holds a unique distinction. It's the only good aggressive AR that isn't just a copy of an SMG. It's built for this role with a solid 25 meters of 4-shot kill, offering a quick 225 millisecond time to kill. Its mobility is basically what you get from a MK9, so it's incredibly nimble. Now, it has some strange quirks. The mag has 40 bullets and a 1.3 second reload time, which seems large enough, but in-game, it felt short, even in Search and Destroy. Furthermore, the handling is terrible. But here's the key. Because this is a close-range weapon, that terrible handling doesn't matter, so we're good. It's a fantastic specialist for its role, a solid B tier. Next up, we have the M13. This is the noob-friendly AR by excellence. It's incredibly forgiving due to its fast fire rate, easy handling, a nice 60-round magazine with a good reload time, and mobility that's right there at the flex AR standard. The only real downside is that the range is a tad short for its class. But honestly, it's super fun to use. Here's the best way to describe it. It's a gun that highly rewards your aim when you're good, but also lets you make mistakes when you're not. For that perfect balance of ease of use and effectiveness, it lands in B tier. Okay, next up is the Swordfish. And honestly, this one is tricky to rank. On paper, the gun is incredible. Damage-wise, it has an infinite 1-burst range. Up to 36 meters, you only need 4 shots to kill, which is 1 shot less than a full burst, making it very forgiving. The mobility is decent, and there's obviously no recoil. Simply put, all of its stats are good. So why isn't this the best gun in the game? That's because it's a burst gun. and that comes with an inherent inconsistency that holds it back. So I'm going to put it in B tier for the simple reason that, yes, it's statistically good, but it's a burst gun. Next on the list is another classic AR, the Kilo 141. Let's run through the stats. You get a 33 meter 4-shot kill and a 55 meter 5-shot kill. And thanks to the most recent buff, it now has a potential 3-shot kill up to 23 meters and a potential 4-shot kill all the way up to 55 meters. The mobility is standard and the handling is quite good across the board, from iron-sight recoil to flinch resistance. So when you add it all up, the Kilo 141 has overall no flaws. But at the same time, it has nothing too crazy to make it meta. It's the definition of a solid, reliable rifle, and that's the definition of B tier. Next up is the Krig 6, and there's a perfect way to describe this gun. The Krig is to the Kilo 141 what the KN-44 was to the LK-24. It's another version for the same purpose, just with a different trade-off. Here, you get way worse handling in exchange for better range, specifically with an infinite 5-shot kill. The problem is that the S-shaped recoil that comes with that bad handling truly makes its exploitability terrible. So, while the Kilo was a true B tier gun, the Krig is a slight step down due to that difficult handling. I'd rank it as a B- tier. Next, we have the EM2, and on paper, this is the best 3-tap AR that isn't the DRH. It has the best compromise of them all, a large mag, the best range, the best mobility, and the best handling for its weapon type. So why isn't it S tier? The only thing that nerfs it is the fire rate interval. For context, the AK-47's is 110 milliseconds, and the DRH's is 105. The EM2 is just slightly slower at 112 milliseconds. Now, that tiny difference may not look like much, but honestly, it feels terrible. But if you can get past that feeling, this gun is deadly. It's a top performer held back only by its feel. That puts it at the top of B tier. You could even call it B+ tier. Next up is the FFAR-1, another great aggressive AR that's actually kind of in the middle between the flex and aggressive roles. Its fast fire rate and good damage between 0 and 8 meters make it incredible up close. That same speed, combined with its easy recoil, makes it great all the way out to 42 meters. To top it off, the mobility is good, similar to what you get on the XM4. But the real kicker is its incredible headshot multiplier. When you combine that with what feels like absolutely no recoil, this gun can vaporize people in an instant, almost like an HVK-30. It has moments of S tier power. That makes it a solid B tier. Coming up to A tier, now we're at the first really good gun on the list, the LK-24. Its range is phenomenal. We're talking 61 meters of 4-shot kill, with the first 40 meters being 100% consistent. You pair that with insane steadiness, good recoil, and good flinch resistance. The trade-off is slow mobility, obviously. So what's holding it back? There's only one issue with the LK-24. The SKS, the Type 63, and the Odin exist. But apart from being outclassed by those top meta choices, this gun is top-notch. That makes it a straight-up A tier. But what happens if you take that C tier Man of War and add the thermite rounds? On the other hand, it becomes an incredibly efficient weapon. It serves two huge purposes. First, for killing. You suddenly only need 2 shots to kill, as long as the enemy doesn't have Dauntless or Flak Jacket. And a quick pro tip, if this weapon is giving you trouble, use Dauntless. Second, the thermite rounds are incredibly efficient for blowing up any kind of score streak. This dual role makes it hard to rank. Personally, I wouldn't rank it with all the other ARs, but if I had to, it would end up in S tier. Because of that specialist nature, we'll place it in the A to S tier range. Next up, we have the sister weapon of the LK-24, the KN-44. Simply put, you trade off a little bit of handling for close range efficiency. What you get from that trade is better mobility and a better 3-shot kill potential, going up to 38 meters. It still maintains 58 meters of potential 4-shot kill, but the issue at that range, sadly, will be the recoil. It's a more aggressive variant of an already excellent gun. Nonetheless, it still deserves the same rank, A tier. Next up, a true fan favorite, the DRH. Its main advantage is having the fastest fire rate of all the 3-tap rifles. This gives it a fast 210 millisecond time to kill out to 36 meters. The trade-offs are decent, but not great mobility. And its handling is technically the worst of the 3-taps, though it's still not bad at all. So with a time to kill that fast, why isn't it S tier? There are 3 main reasons. First, it can't 2-tap heads. Second, it's far behind the Odin in close, medium, and long range. And third, against typical flex ARs, its mobility is just too far behind. It's simply lovely, but those limitations keep it from the top spot. The DRH is a fantastic A-tier weapon. Okay, for this one, I'm sure people will get mad. The Peacekeeper MK2. Just listen to the stat sheet. Of all the flex ARs, it has the best range with a 39-meter 4-shot kill. It has the best mobility with a 215 millisecond ADS, 4 meters per second of strafe speed, and 6.2 meters per second of sprint speed. It has one of the best magazine stats, 40 bullets paired with a 0.8 second reload time, and it has one of the lowest flinch values in the game at 0.38. The only issue with this weapon is that the recoil and iron sight are slightly inconvenient. So here's the final call. In our opinion, the Peacekeeper is S tier if you can manage the recoil. If you can't, it's an A tier weapon. Next on the list is the Groza, and let me be blunt, it's a PDW. By flex SMG standards, this gun is perfect. It has a 32-meter 4-shot kill, which drops off to a 6-shot right after, just like the PDW. It has good mobility with an especially fast strafe speed of 4.1 meters per second. The only issue is that the handling isn't perfect. It has an S-shaped recoil and a weird iron sight. Honestly, this gun is highly underrated. Its final placement just depends on your personal comfort. It could be A or B tier, and it only depends on your comfort with the iron sight. For me, I can handle it just fine, so I'm putting it in A tier. Next on the list is the BP50, and this one is quite a good one. Think of it as a hybrid. Mobility-wise, it's an SMG. Handling-wise, it's an LK24. And if that wasn't enough, the range is insane. We're talking an 18-meter 4-shot kill and a 40-meter 5-shot kill. With a fire rate of 950 RPM, that gives you a time to kill of under 250 milliseconds at 40 meters. You put all that together, and this is, in my opinion, the best aggressive AR we have in the game currently. A straight up A tier. Now we have the Ram 7. Based on early leaks from the test server, this gun didn't look that good, but that was for one single reason. People weren't using the right attachments. Here's the actual performance. We're talking about a weapon with 857 RPM or a 17 millisecond fire interval with a mobility of a Type 19, more or less. Range-wise, you get a 22-meter 4-shot kill for a 210 millisecond time to kill, and then a 45-meter 5-shot kill for a 218 millisecond time to kill. Those stats aren't overpowered because they aren't. The gun is balanced. But where this gun truly shines is the handling. You have little to no flinch, a decent iron sight that doesn't shake too much, and the recoil pattern that is, simply put, smoother than everything you know. Overall, this isn't going to be an insane top meta gun. It's a perfect example of a gun where, even though the stats aren't insane, the effectiveness is so great it pushes it to the next level. For that reason, it earns a solid A tier. Alright, for the first S tier gun, the HVK-30, I'm probably gonna get some comments. This is a highly specialized weapon. It's only dominant under very specific conditions. It needs to be paired with another gun using overkill, and it's meant for slower game modes like TDM, frontline, or search and destroy. If you meet those conditions, it's a monster. You get an 18-meter 3-shot kill, a 29-meter 4-shot kill, and an infinite 5-shot kill range. On top of that, a headshot means one less shot to kill, no matter the range. The reason it needs that specific setup is to cover its weaknesses. The mobility is just that of classic ARs, and the handling is kind of weird with an S-shaped recoil. But the big issue is simple. You only get 28 bullets in a magazine that fires at 660 RPM. So yes, it has major flaws, but within its niche, it is terrifyingly efficient. That's why, despite the conditions, this is an S tier weapon. And now, the Odin. I could simply say this. a 145 millisecond 2-shot kill time to kill up to 25 meters, and an infinite 3-shot kill time to kill of 290 milliseconds. And that alone would be enough to justify it being not just S tier, but the best gun in S tier by far. But let's be more exhaustive. It has awful mobility, but I'd argue that's a perk, as it forces you to be slow and line up those devastating long-range shots. It also seems to have a terrible recoil pattern, but because the fire rate is incredibly low, it doesn't climb fast at all, making it very controllable. The handling is generally great, aside from one small issue with the flinch, which is at 0.7. But that doesn't matter. Even after many nerfs, this gun is simply the best. It's not just S tier, it's S plus tier. There is a trio of top flex ARs right now, and the first is the Type 19. Of the three, the Type 19 is the most passive, but it is also the most stable. Its stats are what you'd call decent range with a 31 meter 4-shot kill and a 43 meter 5-shot kill, and decent mobility, even if the 5.8 meters per second sprint speed could be a little better. So if its stats are just decent, what makes it top tier? It's the fact that the handling is so great and the gun is basically flawless. For its absolute stability and lack of any real weakness, it deserves nothing less than S tier. The XM4 stays in S tier, but there are a few new details we need to address. With the last nerf, the base flinch was hit hard. The Serpent Wrap grip, which used to reduce flinch, now leaves us playing with 0.765 flinch. That is much higher than most ARs, which usually sit around 0.6. Despite that, the gun is still incredibly powerful. It just won't be as dominant in a pure head-to-head gunfight where you're taking damage. But having the absolute meta XM4 in your hands means nothing if you can't actually hit the target. You can copy every S tier build I just showed you, but if your aim is off, you're still going to lose games. Especially if you're trying to main those snipers we talked about earlier. If you're still whiffing shots, it's not the gun's fault, it's yours. There are exactly 7 reasons why you keep missing, and find out on this video right here.